Well, recent rains are taking the edge off of this recent drought, but it's also taking its toll on growers and the markets. To get more on this and the recent crop progress report, Neil Melanson is standing by with this week's in-studio guest. Neil?
Thanks, Avery. Well, the June 30th acreage report from the USDA was one of the most widely anticipated reports this season, and it was in fact a market mover as we talked about a couple weeks ago. However, it didn't go as many people expected. Joining me now is David Bollich, a grain marketing specialist with the Louisiana Farm Bureau Marketing Association. And David, I guess talk to me first up about how the markets have moved since that report came out.
Well, it's been downhill since it came out, and if you look back over the past month, Neil, we've lost probably $1 in both of them, which represents a much bigger drop in corn than soybeans. And the fundamental difference, aside from what happened in the report, is that we're getting very tight on old crop soybean supplies, about as tight as we've been in a couple of decades as far as percent of use, and we're comfortable in corn. And that old crop, that strength in the old crop soybean prices is supporting both old and new, or at least it has been up until recently. Now we're starting to see a seasonal downturn in both of them, and now we're going to be watching probably for just yield potential out there in the weather that goes on in the Midwest.
Finally, I know you're in touch with a lot of farmers out there, talking to them on a regular basis. I know we've talked to some seed dealers who have seen some very drastic changes in the crop out there for Louisiana due to the drought. Recap a little bit about that for us. Tell, where are we and how badly did the drought affect us?
It's been pretty bad in some areas. If you look at the crop ratings that come out, we've seen a huge drop in the past 2 weeks. We actually started off with what was almost a uniformly highly rated corn, soybean, milo, all the crops were rated pretty good. And the high temperatures, from latter half of June just really took their toll. We've got some rains this week, and let me tell you, we were in dire need of it. We're going to have corn, some of this corn that was planted early, had all those rains in the early spring, had to replant it, and it went in the ground late and came up late. So we've got some corn that's going to be probably 40, 50, 60 bushel type corn, especially in North Louisiana if it wasn't irrigated. And then we're going to have some early planted corn that put on its early growth. It had moisture until the last 30 days, but it was almost made. We're going to see I think some very good yields on that stuff. The question right now, I think, for a lot of corn farmers is aflatoxin going to be a major issue this year or not? It's always associated with drought, but even that's not a one-to-one thing now. We've seen drought times where afla was not a huge problem, and we're hoping that's the case this year. As far as the soybeans, the early beans that are potted and everything, it's hard to put more growth on them and improve yields, but you can stabilize what they have and keep them going. And the later beans can definitely benefit if we start getting some moisture, let them get that growth on, and then have the moisture when they start setting pods later on. So bean potential is still there. Overall, corn's been affected pretty badly. Milo the same way, good to be getting rains right now, and hopefully they continue.
All right, thank you, David. David Bollich with the Louisiana Farm Bureau Marketing Association. So Avery, it looks like some bearish numbers out there for corn and beans, but maybe a little hope from the rains that we're getting.